deference to the legislature. I mean, they pass statutes. Some of the statutes may be very, very technical, and it's not being submitted to the public to vote on, to whether or not to amend the Constitution. So comparing the word surcharge in a statute to the use of a word surcharge in a constitutional question that's amending the Constitution, I think we're looking at two different standards.
I would respectfully disagree, Your Honor, because when you submit a constitutional amendment to the voters, in my point of view, it is even more important to give as much information to the voters as possible so that they know what they are voting on. It's even more important for the constitutional amendment, the ballot question, and whatever supporting materials the chief election officer wishes to submit, to define that that surcharge is on real property tax.
I think that was my point, counsel.
Oh, thank you.
Point.
I think as lawyers, I can't speak for the justices because I've never been a judge, but as far as lawyers are concerned, we forget that the words that we use, lots of people don't understand. When I first took this job, I talked like a lawyer, and I realized that you have to use different words when you're talking to the average voter, when you're talking to the general public, so that people really do understand what you are talking about. In fact, a friend said to me the other day, "What's real property?" It's as basic as that. I know the state has argued that surcharge has a common meaning. How many people say surcharge? How many people here say surcharge in your daily lives? I'd have to say you'd be unusual if you use the word surcharge. I sure haven't said surcharge to my husband. So I just think that it's important that when you ask the general public to vote on a measure, that the measure be clear to the average voter.
Does the question inform the average voter that the exclusive authority of the counties to tax real property is being amended? It's being altered. And what really, I mean, how would the average voter know that what you're talking about here is that the Constitution is being amended from one thing to something else? Is there any indication in the question? And let me ask you the follow-up. Is there any indication that the counties are already taxing investment real property? So does the voter know that it's being amended so that not only the counties, the state will be able to do it? Will the average voter know that this is a double tax, potentially? I mean, is any of that in this constitutional question?
I think the average reader reading that provision would understand that this is something that's going to be an additional charge.
So the average voter, the average 18-year-old knows that the counties have the exclusive authority to tax investment property, and this constitutional provision is amending the Constitution to give this additional authority so both entities can tax the same investment. The average voter would know that based on the question.
No, not that the counties have exclusive authority over the property tax, but that...
Well, do you think when you amend a constitutional provision, you should tell the average voter that you're amending something from one thing to something else? Wouldn't that be... I mean, we want voters to make an informed judgment, don't we?
Sure we do.
First of all, I'm a social studies teacher. And I encourage all of my students to go out before they vote for anything. If they're going to vote for a candidate, all it says is a name. We encourage people to do their research. I think the city and counties were greatly underestimating the power of the people to research an issue. And I think the average voter is very clear on this one. And I think in this whole debate, if people want to learn more, they should read more. Otherwise, we'd have constitutional amendments that are 20 pages long. I think that constitutional amendments usually are very simple. And we've tried to make this as simple and straightforward as possible. And again, are we willing to tax second homes over $1 million to be able to fund our schools? And that's what we try to do through this legislative process, and that's what we're trying to do through this amendment.
We just witnessed right here today. And obviously there's major concerns and issues with this particular subject, but the bottom line, it total support for education, for teachers and all of that. That's upfront. But for today, to me, being present was important because it's about assuring that whatever decisions that are made, that we have the good information, solid understanding of what we're voting for, and it goes directly, I'm going to just say, into the classroom, if you know what I mean.
And Hawaii is actually the only state in the entire country that does not use property taxes to fund its schools. And so it's a shame that the city and county, rather than actually trying to find a way to make sure that Hawaii's keiki have a good education, have chosen to spend their time and resources mainly defending people that do not even live here in Hawaii.
And the legislature tried to amend the procedure.
I want to say I felt great pride watching our Corporation Counsel, Donna Leong, argue today. I mean, right off the block, she started getting very tough questions. Tough questions are also directed to the Attorney General. I think we saw the Supreme Court at its very best. They prepared well, they did their homework, and they asked difficult questions. They didn't leave anyone get off the hook. But Donna addressed the questions directly. I'm hopeful. I never know for sure what the Supreme Court's going to do, but I also am proud of the fact that we do have these three branches of government. You know, sometimes one branch gets attacked unnecessarily, unfairly. I think today we saw democracy in action, whatever the result is.
And how is the average voter supposed to know that?
The average voter knows based on being educated by the advertisements, the committees for and against the ballot issues, reading the bill itself, as well as basically understanding or researching for themselves what the.
Isn't the point of the statute that the question itself is supposed to fairly lay all that out?
Yes, and I believe that it does. If the ballot question basically, if you read the ballot question as a whole, that it does make sense. It doesn't, if you parse it out to